Thanks for attending this webinar from Fusang Exchange again. My name is Kevin. I'm CEO of Fusang Exchange. Welcome you all. Today we are very glad that we can, invite one of our, honorable guests. Actually, is our founder and CEO of Protos Asset Management, also Protos Cryptocurrency Fund. This is, the security token listed on Fusang Exchange as one of the first two on Fusang Exchange. So we are very happy and excited to have this guest to share with us about his business and about his vision on cryptocurrency trading. Apparently, he's a Google about trading cryptocurrency, and in the past, he is actually a very good quant trader. Okay, so I would love to learn more from this guru about trading. And also, he would be sharing with us about his, STO journey. And of course, the structure of this webinar, we will have a Q&A session at the last bit. So I hope you enjoyed the time, with us in this webinar. Without further ado, I pass, this, conversation to Dr. Philipp Kallerhoff, who is the founder and CEO of Protos. Here you are, Philipp.
Thank you very much, Kevin, for having us here at Fusang Exchange. And we're very happy to start listing, or we have listed on yesterday on Fusang with our Protos token, PRTS token, to be exact. So I can start a little bit about the history of the firm, if you like. Is that okay? Or
Sure, of course. Yeah.
So so Protos has been around since the end of 2017. Yeah, so we did the STO back in towards the end of 2017 and closed the STO mid-December 2017. Then so we are live now for 18 and 19 and 2 through 20, so almost 3 years in the cryptocurrency market. And obviously we have been busy before that in crypto trading. So what the Protos fund is, or the Protos token is about, is investing and trading cryptocurrency assets. So maybe a brief history about me. So I am coming from a hedge fund background. I've been working in hedge funds for over 15 years. Just before Protos, I was part of Harcourt Investment Consulting, which is a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund in Zurich. And there I was trading trend following strategies and long short equity strategies. And together with my partners, Tom Kineshenko and Matthew Shaw, we launched Protos Asset Management, and the Protos token at then. So what we did in the Protos token was we wanted to have exposure to the market on the one side. Then we wanted to have exposure, remember this was 17, we were, also in the ICO hype, and, we're looking at venture type of investments. And then, as another third, maybe trading, so outright trading and trying to outperform the market. So obviously coming out of 17, the ICO market was already slowing down or having troubles. So we were quite careful with our ICO investments and very much focused on equity investments at that stage, because we thought the ICOs are too late already. Once they're getting listed, you're getting a very high valuation, so you have to go further in, earlier in, and into equity deals. And some of these deals have worked well. For example, we have invested into the Beam company at the seed stage, and the Beam ICO. Well, the Beam token was listed later and did quite well. Some of the investments, of course, have had troubles going through the crypto winter. So it was kind of a balanced mix, I would say. The overall market exposure that we had, also, of course, we were launching, in fact, 2 days before the Bitcoin peak. So that, there was obviously an interesting timing. Of course, in hindsight, that was tough timing. But yeah, the markets are down since then. So we launched at Bitcoin almost 20,000. We're now at 10,700. So almost 50% down in the, let's say, in Bitcoin. And then the overall market, it's even slightly more because the smaller tokens have sold off more than, let's say, for example, Bitcoin. And then then we started trading, and our most prominent strategy that we followed was a trend following strategy, which is the one that I also brought into the firm from my previous hedge funds. And this is a very prominent strategy because it's one of the largest hedge fund strategies, and it's been working well for a lot of hedge funds over a long period of time. And this strategy has also, made some money in the very beginning, and then had got into some rallies. So we decided to trade trend following long only. So that means, we only try to capture the upsides in the market. So if Bitcoin rallied, from 3,000 to 15,000 last year, or 14,000, then we try, that's something we wanted to capture with trend following. But otherwise, we try to stay out of the market in this category of the fund. And that's where we are today. We are very excited about the new momentums that we're seeing in the markets, like DeFi, in the DeFi space. So we're active in that space in terms of capturing some of those tokens as well, that I'm happy to speak about later, and then about the portfolio that we have right now. But that's like kind of the history of the fund and what our aim is for the Protos token.
Right. Well, I believe, our audience must be very interested in knowing more about what you actually invest into, right? Given your experience in doing trading, maybe they can get some tips out of your existing portfolio and things like that. That will be, good for them.
Yeah, sure. So let me maybe open up my screen here. Can you see this?
Yes.
So again, yeah, this is the firm. The founders is me and Tom and Matthew. We've been in the crypto space from very early days on. We've been into the Ether ICO. We've been in Bitcoin relatively early at $128. Some of the stuff obviously also did not well, just to mention it here, right? So we invested, personally in the DAO, of course, then went to zero. So just to give like the positive and negative examples. The other side is the trading strategy. So this is this is from a paper from AQR and Winton Capital. So well, the picture is from AQR, but the return here is from Winton. So these are very prominent trend following hedge funds, or they have trend following hedge funds. And you see that, diversified trend following versus the S&P over, or since 1985 has a very consistent return. And so this is one strategy that we're following. And again, this kind of gave an example of the early stage investments that we did in crypto. So unfortunately, our performance is not, as we were hoping for. We were well above the market for a very long period of time. Mainly due to trend following taking risk off, especially in this downturn in 18, right? So we kind of stayed in cash here, and then we were kind of flatlining around this 60-cent level. And then this year, I would say, some of these venture investments that we did in the very beginning, after 2 years winter collapsed, and we had down here this year, or kind of drag those first, let's say, quarter. Then we had with COVID, right? So a lot of that also drew down some investments. And now only, in just the recent month, and this is until the end of July, we're seeing this uptick in the market again, and we're capturing at least some of this wave now. So what did the portfolio look like end of July? It's basically we have still some pre-listing. So this is what we're talking about, the venture investments. This is down to 15.5%, right? Remember, we were setting off as, this should be 1/3. So we massively reduced this. We were quite careful in those investments. And this is kind of, at the moment, this is about 15.55% as of the last reporting. We have a lot of listed investments. So we're definitely heavy into Bitcoin and Ethereum. but we also have some interesting DeFi investments. And, I put in here the holdings here on the right side. So, we made a Bancor investment. Chainlink is doing really well. Decentraland is another DeFi. It's not DeFi, but it's like it's a new platform. Kyber Network is one of the prominent DeFi exchanges that has a token. And you can expect more DeFi tokens here in this list end of August, right? So that's clear. But again, remember, so this is the full list, right? So we always publish this on our website. And you also see, for example, stuff like, Bitcoin CFDs or Bitcoin futures, right? So we do trade long and short, possibly, if we want to hedge out market risk. We don't have any short positions, I think, at the moment. Yeah, so that's kind of, yeah, and then we have, let's maybe to mention, we still have quite a, we have some dry powder, 30% in US dollars, that potentially we could invest at a later stage. And at the moment, I would say the outlook is towards listed investments. So we're looking to increase this the listed bucket and further reduce the US dollar potentially going into a new rally, hopefully, right? And reducing also the pre-listings, further down. So we really want to looking at having a very big exposure to Bitcoin and Ethereum, risk managed though, right? And at the same time, picking new tokens like, Kyber, Bancor. They're not extremely. Ren is a very, very famous token right now. I'm seeing it here. Because they have wrapped Bitcoin, right? And that is very prominent on the Ethereum blockchain.
Right. Okay. Very good. Well, given that you've been trading cryptos for a while, or the last few years, is there any particular coins right now you see would be the star for the coming 12 months or few years?
we are, of course, right? That's always the big question, and we don't have a crystal ball either, right? I mean, but what we're definitely interested is, like I said, right? We're definitely interested in the DeFi space. We don't think this will immediately be bigger than Bitcoin, right? So we're still we have a very big exposure to Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ethereum is definitely one of our we're very excited about, because lots of this stuff is based on Ethereum, right? And so we do think those large tokens will do well. Yeah, this is our personal opinion. And we do want to keep a very big exposure to those large caps, because obviously they have accumulated this this market cap for a good reason, because they have kind of built the foundation layers to also to DeFi, right? Decentralized finance at the moment. And so if DeFi, for example, does well in the future, then this should also go back to Ethereum. And then maybe Bitcoin in a different way, because Bitcoin is not directly linked to decentralized finance, but it can be linked through Ren, for example, that we've also picked here in our portfolio.
Okay, fair enough.
So I think so the tokens that we're excited about, you see in our list, right? So you should definitely follow our updates, which we do monthly on the portfolio that we have.
Sure, right. Given that you have experience in the hedge fund industry, and from the background or profile of your existing cryptocurrency fund, I presume you set up this fund pretty much like the traditional hedge fund structure and framework, right? I also presume you also have people, external party to help you to provide a service, things like that, right? Can you tell me more in terms of this setup? Is it any different compared to traditional hedge funds?
So yeah, it's slightly different. So let me just actually pull up the slide here. I was expecting that question. I mean, what we have is a structure where we have an asset management firm, which is asset managing a Protos cryptocurrency fund. So this is a Cayman structure. And then we have a Singapore, you can call this a feeder structure, which then issued the Protos token. So this is where the money. So this is how the money went from. So the Protos token holders bought the tokens from the peer-to-peer scam, in Singapore. This money then was invested into the Protos cryptocurrency fund, and this is the money that we then manage. And we basically report on a monthly basis, what the value is of the, the NAV of the Protos cryptocurrency fund divided by all tokens, right? So we always say, it's like 30 cents, 50 cents, 20 cents, and so on. Yeah, and I mean, I think I do have a slide here on our suppliers. No, I don't. I mean, but I can just, so this structure was built up by Skadden Arps in New York. They helped us set up the fund. Then we had Cayman legal advisors and Swiss legal advisors by Bergkara here in Switzerland for setting up the asset management firm. And then in Singapore as well. So literally, this was a structure between Singapore, Cayman, and Switzerland. And at the core, Skadden Arps organized this setup. We opted very early on or immediately for a independent fund administrator. So this fund here at the core is administered by Stonegate fund administrators, which are becoming quite prominent in the crypto space. I know they're not so prominent in the traditional space, but you need very specialized administrators, obviously, because you have to deal with wallets and smart contracts, and obviously not the original fund administrators struggling with that. Yeah, that's pretty much the setup.
Yeah, well, I think you try to set up your structure right, from the very beginning. So you have, third-party oversight in your fund, so that to give the investor into your fund, some kind of, comfort level, pretty much like, traditional asset class. So I think it's a good start, and you guys have been doing the right thing, from the very beginning, and positioning your fund as a security token is also the right thing to start with, because you want to make sure, people buying into your fund is aware of this is, something for regulated and compliant in the first place. I think this is a good approach. Yeah. So maybe let's move on to, about your securitization, right? Or tokenization, experience. Is there any reason motivating you to do this tokenization exercise in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously at the very beginning, in 2017, we were contemplating different structures, and the security tokens back then were relatively new, of course, right? So there were a couple of teams that had done this before, namely Blockchain Capital, Science, and Spice VC. And Spice VC obviously is listing with you guys as well. I think this week or last week. And what we were excited about is that hedge funds are quite illiquid, right? So obviously, usually they have a lockup, and especially in this space where we were contemplating to invest into equities, this could be potentially year-long investments, right? So we were pretty excited about having a structure which could become liquid almost instantly, right? I mean, this obviously took longer than we thought, yeah. So we did a listing in the US last year, if I remember correctly. I think it was last year, but time is moving fast. And yeah, I think it was last year. And then this year, we're obviously listing with you guys, with Fusang Exchange, and we're very excited to kind of enter the Asian market as well, and hopefully get liquidity to the token holders. And that's obviously, that took longer, than we thought. But I think, the space is just picking up right now, and people are getting around to the idea of trading securities as tokens, and I think that's very exciting. Yeah? So we worked with Securitize now. We work with you guys. Securitize is the transfer agent, and what I think Securitize has done really well is they have provided a platform where you can really, have a list of all your token holders at all times, and they make sure that the wallets that are trading on Fusang or on other exchanges, our tokens, these wallets are white labeled, right? So only people that have registered with Fusang, and this is a very smart system, right? So where only registered investors, so we know who the people are behind these wallets, only those people can trade, and we make sure that the tokens is traded compliant.
Right, that's good. That's good. Well, maybe tell me a bit more why you pick Asia, or even like you pick Fusang eventually.
Yeah, I mean, Asia, of course, right, is the driving market in crypto right now. So there are lots of startups, and there's a lot of capital coming into this market from Asia. That's clear. We see Europe is lagging behind. The US, yes, is very innovative, but very highly regulated, and it's very hard to kind of create liquidity there. So we think Asia is definitely a very good place to be for liquidity and for capital. And Fusang, yeah, I mean, you guys are obviously very prominent in the space now, as well as I think you guys have built a very excellent technology. So what I like about your platform is that you have a bank-like interface, right, where you can store your tokens, you can store your US dollars, and then you can swap Bitcoin and Ether versus Protos tokens. You can go back to cash, right? So it's like I don't know when we use dollars. I don't know if you guys have that, but but it's a very bank-like interface. So that's what I really like about it. I think it's much easier to use than some other interfaces that we've worked with before. So that's why we picked Fusang, and we know obviously we kind of went through your team and your setup, and that made a big impact on us.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you for your comments. We do try our best, to give the best user experience, and we keep improving. I know there's still a lot of areas we can keep improving as well. But appreciate your comment. Yeah, I think likewise from our perspective, Protos is actually one of the first STOs in the market, and they have a very unique strategy and background and the management team, so that they can deliver with the returns on cryptocurrency and crypto related assets for our investors in a diversified approach. I think this is why they can attract investors in the first place to be going along with them. And I believe going forward, Protos, Dr. Philipp Kallerhoff will continue to deliver the good results for their existing investors and potentially the future investors as well. So maybe I leave a few minutes for our investors or audience to ask some Q&A. I see some questions on the Q&A panel. Maybe this one is quite straightforward. I can ask you, Dr. Philipp. Is about whether your fund will have some recurring investment income, like investment return recurring. Yeah.
Okay, so this comes back to the structure that we have, right? The fund itself will not give out any income. What the fund will do is, once it hits performance, it will buy back the tokens, right? So this is what the lawyers suggested as a safe mechanism to distribute the performance, and therefore how the way it works is that once we get a performance we'll use some of this performance to buy back the tokens on the exchanges like Fusang and the other exchange that we are listed on. So that's a simple mechanism to kind of, and that basically reduces the amount of tokens, obviously. Well, first of all, it creates liquidity. Second, it reduces the amount of tokens, and then increases the value of the tokens.
Right. Yeah. Well, if investors want to get liquidity, I guess they have to trace out. They can just simply trace out the tokens, and that is the beauty of this kind of tokenized fund, right? Because in the past, if people want to get liquidity, they have to go to the fund administrator and pass in this notification notice and wait for a few months to get the money back, things like that, right? I think this is the reason why people go for tokenization, right?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. There's another question about you guys have the service provider and all this compliance setup like traditional hedge fund. But how if this investor saying if I were to invest, how do I keep track of your performance, and is there any channel I can deal with you guys, things like that?
To track our performance, yeah, for sure. I mean, the performance, if you go to protosmanagement.com website, right? If you click on about, then this gives you access to our historic values of the token and also to the list of investments. And then you can also sign up on the website for the updates. You can contact us. Obviously, our emails are on it as well through LinkedIn, Twitter, and emails directly. And yeah, we're happy to put you on our update list or any update you would like, for sure.
Okay, sure. There's another question about the safety of the token, right? I guess this investors or audience is new to crypto. He is not sure whether this token is safe because he was saying he heard of a lot of hacking on exchange, right? So he wonder whether this kind of STO, the token itself is safe. Yeah.
Sorry, what's the question?
The question is about whether this token, the secret token, like Protos token, is safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, the token itself, right, is running on the Ethereum blockchain, right? So first of all, and the Ethereum blockchain was in that sense never hacked, right? I mean, and that's independent of us, obviously. So the tokens cannot be touched by us or anybody else. But what you have to always say, right? I mean, the tokens are as safe as you keep them, right? So you definitely want to keep your tokens in a secure wallet. And that's the beauty of it, right? So there's no custody cost to it, right? Because it's all validated on the Ethereum blockchain, right? So as long as you have a secure wallet, and obviously we're happy to talk about that or give you some recommendations. But once you have the tokens in your wallet, they are secure as the Ethereum blockchain. I would say. Yeah.
Right. Well, this question is also from probably new investor in crypto. He wonder this token volatility is kind of generic to your fund as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, volatility is tough, right? In crypto, it's generally above, or close to, 100% annualized, right? So what that means is if you compare that, for example, with equities, right? Equities have a 16% volatility. Then you have FX maybe, which is like 8, and then you have bonds, kind of 4 maybe, just picking numbers. And so we talk about 100% volatility. Obviously, that means Bitcoin price or any of the other cryptocurrencies might double or go to 0 in a very in a year's time. That could totally happen given the volatility. And so I think we're still at the stage where we are really early on in crypto. Obviously, it's very hard to value these tokens. Therefore, the value the volatility is that high. The liquidity is not great even in the largest tokens like Bitcoin and Ethereum. So even like if a larger investor comes in, they really drive the prices up and down, right, by selling or buying. And I think this will continue further. I think we've made good in the industry. I think we've kind of got further with listing Bitcoin futures on the CME. That obviously has very, very prominent players on and large liquidity pools. But again, still these spot markets where you really buy Bitcoin and Ethereum, for example, are not as liquid as they probably will be. Hopefully, will be in a couple of years, and that's probably going to continue. The volatility is going to stay up, which is good actually for us as a hedge fund, or should be good for us, because that gives us the ability, of course, to make money, or of course, as always, lose money. But yeah, we're hoping to make money, of course.
Sure, right. Well, maybe I take this question. This audience is asking, is Fusang being regulated and by whom? I can just answer you quickly. Fusang is regulated in Malaysia as an exchange. So we are allowed to do primary issuance and secondary trading of digital assets. All right. Okay, I think more or less we come down to the 30 minutes at the end of the webinar. I guess today, as I make it in the very beginning, we're very honorable to have Dr. Philip to be with us to tell us more about his Proto asset management and Proto cryptocurrency fund. And like last week we have one for the VC projects, and this time we have one for crypto trading. So I guess we try to bring more different asset class or more types of crypto security tokens onto Fusang Exchange, as well as this webinar series, so that to continue to share with our audience what is about security tokens. And I hope you guys can join us next time. But this time, I really appreciate the time with Dr. Philip, and thank you very much. So I hope we can continue to bring you more news about Protos asset management in other channels, like our newsletter and other maybe we can organize another webinars sometime later. So today, thank you very much, Dr. Philip.
Thanks very much for having me.
Okay, talk later. Bye bye.